Okay, good evening, everyone. As we learn, sponsored by Shimon Klein, Leland Ishmas Asher Anshe Ben Yehuda, Gittel Bas Shimon Pinchas, the Neshama Sharav and Aliyah, Irving Fishbaum, for Isser Ben Razel, and A.B. Spry for the safety of our Chayalim and all of Klal Yisrael, especially Isser Zev Ben Yuta. And we are learning for Elisheva Bas Basya, that she should have a refuah shalema b'seich Shar Chilul Yisrael. And we are holding here, let's see, we are holding by Usahei, which is 4 lines from the bottom of Daf Chafei Amud Beis, as we welcome in Dr. Black, Irving Fishbaum, Dr. Guy, Baruch Ian, basking in 85-degree weather, Eddie Chazan, Michael, Shalom Fogel, Stephen Holtzman, Berish Gesserman, Mel Zachter, Ruvain Pollack, and Shimon Klein, Nachman Chapler, Yisrael Fisher, Mordechai Sultan, Chaim Lerner, I'm not sure who that is, maybe it's Menachem Umansky, I'm not sure, Shimon Deer, Rabbi Kranz, Moshe Lehman, Avram Schenkman, we miss you over here, Avram, please come back soon, Dr. Guy, Yitzi Muller, Abe Arbach, Harrison Kletzel, Jay Siegel, here in Shul, Baruch Hashem, we're so rich over here, with Saba, Ruvain Shannon, Paisel Siegelman, Reb Shloima, Rich Lenner, Reb Krause, and Reb Kramer, and Gedalia Engel, Reb Blumenfeld. Reb Blumenfeld, you're giving me a lot of pleasure that you're here, really a lot of pleasure. David Helfgott has just joined us on Kol Lashon, as we are also just been joined by Shelley Zeitlin. So the Gemara says now, we're going to do a little bit of a flippy-floppy, trying to see if we could create some new Kal V'chomers. Usehei shein v'regel chayev b'rishus harabim. Maybe shein and regel should be chayev in the rishus harabim, even though the Torah says uvia b'stei akar, in consuming in another's field, but it should be chayev in rishus harabim Kal V'chomer. Uma keren she b'rishus hanizik, according to the Rabbanan, in private property ein mishalem elakatzi nezik. B'rishus harabim chayeves is chayev in the rishus harabim mechatzi nezik. Shein v'regel shebrishus hanizik on private property mishalem nezik shalom pays full damages. Ein odin shebrishus harabim chayev, shouldn't it surely be chayev in the rishus harabim? Amakra, for that the pasuk says uvir b'stei achar, only if it consumes in another's field, v'loi b'rishus harabim, and not in the rishus harabim. So that Kal V'chomer is not workable. The pasuk shows us that we don't make such a Kal V'chomer. Says the Gemara, Midei Kulei Kamrina, but that's not a good proof. We're not suggesting that it should be a Nezek Shalom in the Rishus Harabim. Palga Kamrina, we're just suggesting it should be a Chatzi Nezek in the Rishus Harabim. And therefore maybe it should be a Chatzi Nezek, and Bia B'stei Achar means that in the Rishus HaNizek it's a Nezek Shalom. Says the Gemara, Amakra, the pasuk says, by the damages of Karen, V'chotzu es kaspo, and they divide the money between the nizik and the mazik by the damage of Karen, and we darshan kaspo as a miyat. Kaspo shel only by the damages of Karen, where it's unusual. V'loi kaspo shel acher, but not the damages of shein v'regel. They don't pay in the rishus harabim. So then, suggesting another possibility. V'loi say shein v'regel chayeves b'rishus hanizik elachatzi nezek. We should then downgrade the payment of shein v'regel in the victim's property to a chatzi nezek mikal v'chomer mikeren, from a kal v'chomer from Karen. Oma Karen shebrishus harabim chayeves. It's chayev even in the rishus harabim. Rishus hanizik and misham lemes elachatzi nezek. It only pays the chatzi nezek. Shein v'regel, that's potter in the rishus harabim. Completely, shein v'regel shebrishus harabim petura. Ein oidin shebrishus hanizik. It should only be a chatzi nezek. Mishalim chatzi nezek. On that, the Gemara says, look at the pasuk. It says, by shein v'regel amakra yishalem, and yishalem is from the lashon shalem, complete. Tashlumim ma'alya. You should pay by shein v'regel in the Rishus HaNizik complete payment. So now the Gemara flips this way. V'loi say Karen b'Rishus HaRabim chayiv mikal v'chaymer. So now let's say that Karen shouldn't be chayiv in the Rishus HaRabim. Uma shein v'regel she'b'Rishus HaNizik nezik shalom. In the Rishus HaNizik it pays full damages. B'Rishus HaRabim it's p'tura. Karen she'b'Rishus HaNizik it's only a chatzi nezik according to the Chachamim. Einoi din she'b'Rishus HaRabim it should be p'tura. So let's make Karen potter in the Rishus HaRabim from a kal v'chaymer from shein v'regel. If shein v'regel, which is chayiv and nezik shalom in the Rishus HaNizik, is potter in the Rishus HaRabim, then Karen, which is only chayiv v'chatzi nezik in the Rishus HaNizik, should surely be potter in the Rishus HaRabim. Amar Rabbi Yochanan Amar Kra, the pasuk says by Karen, it already says he pays half damages. And then it repeats Yechetzon. Now that's extra. So why does it say the second pasuk? Ein chatzi nezik chalak, to tell you that chatzi nezik is not to be distinguished, it's not to be divided. And you pay whether it's in the Rishus HaRabim or it's in the Rishus HaYachid. And we learned that out from Yechetzon. Now the Gemara is going to get a little fancier. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'akol niyeh b'dvaro. 26a. And actually it's 26a too. As we welcome in Ilya Shutman for our 26th Zoomer of the evening. So now the Gemara says, we know that a shar amud, when it kills a human, pays kaifer. Now a man that kills someone and gets capital punishment, obviously he doesn't pay, because that's the din of kamlei b'ramine. And once the person gets capital punishment, he also doesn't pay. The same thing would be if a man kills somebody b'shogeg, he goes into exile and he doesn't pay. But now the Gemara says, what about this case, where a man kills somebody on purpose, but he didn't give hasra. He didn't get hasra. He wasn't warned. So then he's not put to death. And he doesn't go to exile, because he only goes to exile if he does it unwittingly. Here he didn't do it unwittingly. So the Gemara says, so then he should pay kaifer. Now he doesn't. Only a shar that kills a man pays kaifer, the ransom. A man that kills a man doesn't say it. But says the Gemara, V'yehei adam chayev b'kaifer mekal v'chaymer. What's the kal v'chaymer? Very interesting. Uma shar she'enoi chayev ba'ar b'dvarim. A shar doesn't pay, he only pays nezek. He doesn't pay the other things, the medical expenses, pain, humiliation, unemployment. Uma shar she'enoi chayev ba'ar b'dvarim. Chayev b'kaifer. Adam shechayev ba'ar b'dvarim, a man who pays the extra 4 payments of unemployment and humiliation and pain and medical bills, should surely pay kaifer. Adam shechayev ba'ar b'dvarim ain't didn't shu chayev b'kaifer. Amar Kra, so the pasuk says by kaifer, that when a shar kills, a shar mu'id kills, kechol asher yushas olav. Olav, you place it when the shar does it. Olav alay al adam, upon him, but not on a human. So now the Gemara says, okay, so now let's go in the other direction. V'yehei shar chayiv ba'arba dvarim mikal v'chaymer. A shor should be chayiv to pay for pain and humiliation and medical treatment from a kal v'chaymer. Ma adam she'ena chayiv b'kayfer, chayiv b'arba dvarim. He's chayiv to pay all these things for humiliation and pain. Shor she'chayiv b'kayfer, a shor that is chayiv in kayfer, ain't a din she'e chayiv b'arba dvarim. Amakra, therefore the pasuk has a miyat. Ish ba'amisai, a man to his friend, pays the dollar dvarim, v'lo shar ba'amisai, but not a shar. A shar doesn't pay dollar dvarim. And now the Gemara takes us into a new discussion. It's a very interesting discussion. We know a shar hamuid pays kaifer. Now the idea is that when it becomes usual behavior, he pays kaifer. So let's say, look at this. We don't have Marshall, and we don't have Mark. So who should we pick on? We're going to give Yisrael a pass because he's with his wife who's not feeling well, so he has enough headaches, right? On the other hand, Baruch is in 85-degree weather. Okay, so Baruch, his ox, goes into Ruvain's property and steps on a child. You know what, let's leave Ruvain's family alone. He goes into Chatzkel's property and steps on a child and kills the child. Does he pay kaifer? Now let's think about it. That's damage of regel. He was just walking. Regel is urche. So it's like a sharamuit. What's the idea of a sharamuit? Because it's a 3-timer, it's normal. So it pays kaifer. So when the animal is walking and steps on a child, that's also urche. So that should be like a mu'id, and he should pay kaifer, even the first time. Now, what's the argument to say not? The argument to say not is maybe kaifer is only where it's kavanasei lahazik, where there was intent to do damage. Here, when Baruch's animal steps on the child, there wasn't intent to do damage. So now let's see this inside. Ibaylahu. Regel shedrosa al gabe tinik bechatzer hanizik. The animal is walking, Baruch's animal is walking normally in Chatzkel's yard and steps on a child, killing the child. Mao shet shalom kaifer. Does Baruch have to pay kaifer? Mi amrinon midei dahavi Karen. It should be like Karen. Karen, kaven the avak treo tlasazimne, depending on what you hold of, what develops a chazaka. Either if he does it 2 or 3 times, orchehu, it becomes normal, and then when he does it as a mu'id, he pays kaifer, mishalem kaifer. Hakanami loishna. Here, this is normal behavior for an animal to walk. He should pay kaifer. Oy dilma, there's a difference. Karen kavanasa lahazik. By Karen, there's intent to do damage. Ain't kavanasa lahazik. Here, Baruch's animal is just walking, whistling a tune. He didn't have any intent to do damage. So maybe there isn't kaifer. So the Gemara says, let's try to bring a proof. Tajma. If Baruch's ox goes onto Chatzkel's property without permission, and it gores the owner and he dies, Hashar b'skila, the shar is stoned, Uba'alav, and the owner, Bein tam, bein mu'id, mishalim kaifer shalom. Ooh, very interesting. Even a tam pays kaifer shalom. Because this is Rabbi Tarfon, according to his shita, that he learns that Keren in the Rishus HaNizik pays full damages even the first time. Now, kaifer shalom b'tamul Rabbi Tarfon minale. Where does he get that a tam pays full kaifer? It must be he learns it out with his Kal V'Chayma from Shein V'Regel. The Savalak Rabbi Yosef Glili, he holds like Rabbi Yosef Glili, Damer Tam, Mishalim Chatzi Kaifer, B'Rishus Harabim. That the Tam pays half Kaifer in the Rishus Harabim. You know, there is a machlokes whether a Tam pays Kaifer at all, maybe doesn't pay Kaifer at all, or he pays Chatzi Kaifer. So he holds like Rabbi Yosef, then in the Rishus Harabim he pays Chatzi Kaifer. Or Maisila Mikal V'Chayma Meregel. And what would be the Kal V'Chayma from Regel? The Kal V'Chayma from Regel would be Madach Regel, which is potter from Kaifer in the Rishus Harabim. Is Chayav and Ezek Shalom in the Rishus HaYachid. So Keren, which is Chayav a Chatzi Kaifer in the Rishus Harabim, should surely be Chayav and Ezek Shalom in the Rishus HaNizik. So that means that there is a Kaifer by Regel. Alma Ika Kaifer by Regel. That shows, like we said, that if Baruch's animal walks and crushes the child, he pays kaifer the first time if it's in the Rishus HaNizik. So the Gemara says, and this is very mechanical, Gemara says maybe we don't learn it out from kaifer. Maybe we just learn it out from the way it is by other damages of shame. Maybe we learn it out from damages of regel. In other words, by damages of regel, we say that it pays nothing in the Rishus Harabim, but it pays in Ezek Shalom in the Rishus HaYachid. So by Kaifer, by Keren, which pays Chatzi Kaifer in the Rishus Harabim, it should surely pay a full Kaifer in the Rishus HaNizik. Says the Gemara, yeah, but if you want to derive from Regel a din of Kaifer, but v'lifrach malani zaken de Regel shekain yeshnan be'esh. What are you going to learn out from Regel? But you have the same ruling by fire. By fire also, you're chayiv, but we don't derive any kaifer by fire. You see that by fire, if a fire does damage to and kills a human being, you're not chayiv kaifer. So the Gemara says, yeah, but there's a case where there isn't fire. Mitamen. We'll learn it out from regel that damages something that's hidden. And something that's hidden is not by fire, because by fire, something that's hidden, you're not chayav for. So the Gemara says, but malat tamen shekain yeshna babar. Something that's hidden, if it falls into a pit, you're chayav even if it's hidden, but there's no kaifer by bar. Says the Gemara, mekalim. We'll learn it out from kalim, because there's no kalim that's chayiv and bar, because remember we said shar v'lo yadam, chamor v'lo kalim. Says the Gemara, but kalim you're chayiv by eish. Malak kalim shekain yeshnan by eish. So says the Gemara, mekalim temunim, hidden utensils. Hidden utensils there isn't by shein, and there isn't by bar. So the Gemara says, well, malak kalim temunim sheyeshnan ba'adan, which is by a man who damages, and by a man who damages, we said there's no kaifer. Elalav shmami no, we're not learning it out from damages of regel. We're learning it actually from kaifer the regel ma'isela. And just like by regel, which is potter in Rishus Harabim from kaifer, but is chayav and ezek shalom the first time in the Rishus HaNizik, like we said, if Baruch's steps on the child while walking, he's chayiv kaifer. So an animal that gores, which is chayiv a chatzi kaifer in the Rishus Harabim as a tam, should be chayiv a nezik shalom in the Rishus HaNizik. Alma ika kaifer bereg. And the Gemara says, as we welcome in Elliot Udell, Amalei Rav Achim Adifti Ravina and Hachanami Mistavra the Ika Kaifer Beregel. Because if you're going to try to learn it out from Niskei Regel, the Yisrael Kedai Techleka Kaifer Beregel, you can't learn it out from Regel when Regel itself doesn't have Kaifer. V'tonim in Izakin the Regel Ma'isila, Lifrach Malin Izakin the Regel Shekain Yeshkan Beregel. We have this, that it's Pater in Rishus Harabim, but it's Chayiv Nezik Shalom and Regel, but there's no Kaifer there. So if there's no Kaifer by Regel itself, so we cannot apply it to Kaifer somewhere else. We learn it out from Kaifer of Regel. Alma Ika Kaifer Beregel. That means, again, let me explain, this is a little confusing as we welcome Eddie Chazan, David Tesler, Joseph Korf. Let me explain it again, that we're therefore extrapolating this halacha that an animal that gores according to Reb Tarfon in the Rishus HaNizik, even if it's a tam, pays an nezik shalom. Because we're going according to Reb Yossi Aglili, that says a tam that gores and kills someone in the Rishus Harabim pays chatzi kaifer, and therefore, since by Shane, which is pater in the Rishus Harabim, but if it steps on an animal or eats an animal, by Shane and Regel, in this case Regel, where if it does damage in the Rishus Harabim and kills a child in the Rishus Harabim, it's pater entirely. But in the Rishus HaNizik, the first time it steps on a child in the usual way, it's chayiv and nezik shalom. And this kaifer by Regel, that's the proof that we're proving. So then, by goring, when it gores in the Rishus Harabim, it pays a chatzi nezek. So surely in the Rishus HaNizik, even the first time, even a tam would pay a nezik shalom. Shmamina.
So we made an assumption that Regel has to pay kofar, but we didn't have a pasuk to say it. We just assumed it.
No, we used the first svara that we said, and svara? The svara is just like a sharamuid pays kofar because it's urchei. So Regel, which is urchei the first time, should pay kofar.
So it wouldn't just be just Regel; it would be applied to Shane.
Shane as well,
and it should apply to maybe Aish. I don't know.
No, not Aish.
It wouldn't apply to Aish.
No. Oh. The only thing is, the hole in the svara was the fact that it's not kavanos lahazik, and the maskana of the Gemara is that that's not enough of a reason not to be chayav.
Okay.
Yes.
So goring.
Right.
In the Rishus Rabbah, you're saying it's chatzi nezek?
Goring in the Rishus Harabim, if it does damages, is a chatzi nezek. According to Rabbi Yossi Haglili, if it kills, it's a chatzi kaifer. Okay? Now we're going to move on to Adam HaMazik. Very nice to have 28 Zumas over here. I wonder who chased away Marshall and Mark Frankel. Now, Adam Muad Lailam, a man is a Muad, that means he pays full damages, he's always responsible. Bain Shogeg, whether he did it unwittingly, Bain Mazid, whether he did it willfully, Bain Er, whether he's awake, Bain Yoshin, whether he's sleeping. Sima es ein chaveira, if he blinds the eye of his friend, lo yaleinu, v'shiber es hakelim, or breaks his utensils, mishalim nezik shalom. Now, there is a juxtaposition over here. And right away the Gemara is going to jump on this. When you break kelim, you only pay nezik. You don't pay the other dollar dvar. So the same thing, if a person inadvertently blinds somebody, he only pays damages. You don't pay the other dollar dvar. Let's see this inside. Ketani sima es ein chaveira dumya deshibra es hakelim. Ma hasam nezek in, he only pays damages. Arba dvar mlai, but not the other four things. Af sima es ein chaveira. And Rashi adds a very critical word. You see how Rashi explains everything with one word. Af sima es ein chaveira b'shoygeg. Because he's learning that sima es ein chaveira is going back on the last case of Yoshan, where he was sleeping. So he blind the person only unwittingly. He only pays nezek in, he only pays damages, arba dvarim lai, but not sar, ripui, sheves, and baishas. So now the Gemara asks another interesting question as we welcome in Yehuda from Yerushalayim, and we are holding, just turn the page on Chavav Amud Beis. Everybody knows that Chavav is a very significant number, for it is Yud Kei Vav Kei. And you know, they say that in Mispar Cotton, Mordechai is 13 and Esther is 13. And of course, 13 is Ava. And when you have Ava plus Ava, then you have 26, which is Yud Kei Vav Kei, because Ish v'Isha, Shalom Beineihem, Shechina Shruya Beineihem. Now, one more to get the 30th Zumer. So asks the Gemara, Minani Mili, how do we know that you're chayiv for damages b'shagig? Baby, listen, I didn't mean it. You're only chayiv if it was premeditated. So Amar Chizkiah v'chein toned bei Chizkiah. Chizkiah said, and also was taught in the academy of Chizkiah, Amar Kra Petza Tachas Petza. Now that's an extra pasuk, as Rashi says, Kra Yiseiru. It already says earlier in the Torah, Ki yiten mumba misai kasher asa kenya asalai. So already it teaches us these things. So why does it repeat petza tachas petza? A wound for a wound. L'chayvay ala shoygeg kemezit, to be mechayiv you if it was unwitting, as if it was willful. Vala oinus, if you were coerced. Karatzen, as if you did it willingly. Says the Gemara, but I learned something else out from Petza Tachas Petza. We're going to have a parak later on called Meruba, where we're going to have a whole slew of drushes. And one of the drushes is that I might think that the only time you're chayiv for pain is if Yisrael takes a red-hot stick and puts it on Shelley's nail. So he only gives him pain. There's no damage. But if he takes a boiling knife and cuts off Chatzkel's arm, since he's paying for the arm, maybe he doesn't have to pay for pain. He paid for the whole arm already. Kind of bloodthirsty, but right? So says the Gemara, that he has to pay for pain even when he's paying for damages. So the Gemara says, the word tachas is extra. My tachas petza, shmami no tarte. We also learn out that shoygeg yechayiv like a mason. Okay, so now Dr. Yudel is well rested, so we'll give him some work to do. Amar Rabba, hoise even munachas loy b'cheikai. If Dr. Yudel had a hard day, he fell asleep in his easy chair. And while he was sleeping, somebody put a boulder on his lap. And then He wakes up, stands up, there's a baby on the floor, and the boulder hits the baby and hurts the baby. It's a good thing there's a doctor in the house. Right? So he said, Even menachas loy b'chekei, v'loy hikar ba, v'amad v'nafla. He got up, and the rock fell from his lap. So le'inyan nizakin chayiv. For damages, he's chayiv, because it says adamud lo'ila. Le'inyan arba dvarim. For the other stuff, pain, humiliation, doctor bills, potter. Because we said you only do that if it's b'mezid. Le'inyan Shabbos, if he did an Isser Shabbos, let's say the rock fell and it went 4 amas in the Rosh Hashanah. So the Indian Shabbos, Meleches Machshavas Asra Torah. It has to be Malacha with intent. And here there was certainly no intent. So he's not going to be chayav for Shabbos. Le'inyan Gullus, when it comes to Gullus, it says, let's say he killed somebody. Will he be exiled to an Arei Miklat? Potter. We'll see why. Le'inyan Eved, let's say he had a slave, and the rock knocked out the slave's tooth. Does the slave go free? Normally, if you knock out the tooth, you knock out the eye, the slave goes free. Does the slave go free? So that is a plukta to Reb Shimon Gamliel v'Rabbanan. What's the machlokes Reb Shimon Gamliel and Rabbanan? The Tanya, Harishoya Rabbi Raifei, if the master was a doctor, v'amalei chul einai, and he says, put ointment into my eye, v'sima, and the doctor inadvertently blinded him. Chator li shini was a dentist, and he said, scrape my cavity. V'epila, and the tooth went out. Sichek ba'adan, he could laugh at the master, v'yatzal cheres. So you see the Rabbanan hold that the slave goes free even if it was inadvertent. Reb Shimon Gamliel Aimer v'shichasa, and he meant to destroy when knocking out the tooth or the eye. Actually, is chavim l'shachasa. So we've explained these cases. Now, why is he potter with gullus? I didn't explain the reason why that. Why isn't that a shogeg? So Rashi says it's only a shogeg if he was aware about it in the beginning. Here, he wasn't aware of the rock at all. So that's not considered a shogeg. Okay, now the plot thickens. Hikkerba, in this case, Dr. Udell, who's thinking maybe today I shouldn't have came, here, Hikkerba, Dr. Udell knew he had the boulder on his lap, and then Vishokacha, but he forgot. He was, V'amad v'nafla, and then he stood up and it fell onto the baby. So Linyan is Akin Chayav. For damage, he's Chayav, because on the Mudlayla. Linyan Dalad Dvarim, he didn't do it with premeditation, right? He's Potter. Linyan Gala is Chayav, because since he was aware of the rock, and then he forgot it, that's a classic Shogeg, and therefore he goes to the Arei Mikla. Dama Kra Bishkaga. Bishkaga means Mechlal Dahavile Yediyah, that he once knew about it. Vohavile Yediyah. He didn't know about it. Linyan Shabbos, well, the bottom line is since he forgot about it, it's not Meleches Machshavas. It wasn't a Malacha done with intent, Potter. Linyan Eved, well, if you hold that the doctor is chayiv, even if he meant to scrape the cavity, so then he would be chayiv, because the chayiv goes, the Eved goes free, even if it's shogeg. So Linyan Eved took the Reb Shimon Gamliel Rabbanan. New case. Dr. Yudel's been a busy man. So we welcome him, Moshe Bunin. Nischavein Lizrak Shtayim V'Zorak Arba. Dr. Yudel planned to throw a rock only 2 amas, and it went 4 amas and hit somebody. So again, it was an accident because he only planned to throw it 2 amas, and it went 4 amas. So Linyan Nizak in Chayiv, because you Chayiv Adamur Loilam, even if it was an accident. Linyan Dalad Dvarm, since he didn't intend for it to hit the person, because the person was 4 amas away, but Linyan Shabbos, he didn't intend to do malacha. Malacha is 4 amas. He only intended to do 2 amas. So Linyan Shabbos, malacha is machshavas b'inyan. You have to have a malacha with intent, and this wasn't with intent. Linyan Gullus, now this is a little bit complicated. Linyan Gullus, it says in the pasuk, the language of the pasuk is va'asher lo tzada, and he didn't ambush. Now that means that you're chayiv if there was no ambush at all. Here he threw the rock in the direction of the person, so you can't say that that was completely not an ambush, not a plan. So therefore this person does not get the kapara of Gullus. Shaloi tzada merachmana, pratlin ischaven lizrik shtayim v'zorak dalit. Therefore, since he threw it in his direction, that doesn't fit into the asher tzada in the pasuk. Le'inyan eved, well, the bottom line is he didn't plan to knock out the tooth. He only planned to throw 2 amas, and the eved was 4 amas away. So that's a pluk to Reb Shimon Gamliel Rabbanan. The one that says that you knock out the tooth even when you were planning to scrape the cavity, it still goes free, then he would go free. The man that says he doesn't go free because it's not shichasa, this is not shichasa. Now, one more case. Dr. Yudel, you ready? Nischaven lizrik arba v'zorak shmoina. He planned to throw it 4 and went 8. We're going to see that this really makes a difference just for halachas of Shabbos. Because when he threw it 4, he already had in mind to do a malacha, because 4 amas is a malacha. It went 8. But you also have to have in mind where it should land. So if he threw it 4 and it went 8, and he had in mind that it should land wherever it lands, he's pleased, so then he would be chai, because that's a malachas machshavas. He had in mind to do a malacha, because 4 is a malacha, and he didn't have in mind that it should land just by 4 amas. He was happy if it landed wherever it landed. We'll see that in a minute. Let's see. Let me not jump. Niskaven lizrik arba v'zorik shmeina. If he had in mind to throw 4 and it went 8. Linyan nizakin chayiv. Well, for nizakin is chayiv adamud loylam. Linyan dalad dvarim. Well, he didn't plan to hit the guy at 8 amas, so he's potter. Linyan Shabbos, so it depends. Ba'omer kol makom shetirtze tanuach. If he said, I'm pleased wherever it lands, so he had in mind to do malacha, because 4 amas is also malacha, and he had in mind that wherever it lands, he's happy. Then he's chayiv, a chatas for Isser Shabbos. But if he wanted it to fall at 8, and it went, if he wanted it to fall at the spot at 4, and it went 8, then again, that's not malachas machshavas, and then he wouldn't be chayiv. Le'inyan Gullus, asher lo tzida. It had to be that there was no ambush at all. He wasn't aiming at all. Where he was aiming in the person's direction, he would not have Gullus, because Gullus would not be a good enough kapara. Le'inyan Evet, since he didn't plan to knock out the tooth, that's pluked to the Reb Shimon Gamliel Rabbanan. Now, one more case for the night. And I can't tell you how happy I am that you're all here. Really. Keep it up, Rabbi Hussein. It's really... What am I going to tell you? The big Nisayan is going to be Hanukkah. Hanukkah is the big Nisayan. We have to talk about that. Gedalia, do you remember, did we keep our quarter to 8 million on Hanukkah? We dismantled it, right?
We didn't dismantle it, but there were a few days that we didn't have it because people were partying.
Well, that's the issue. The issue is that there's parties. But nobody's going to want to miss the daf. I mean, that's impossible. It's impossible. Who in their right mind on Hanukkah? We'll talk about it. That's a serious discussion. V'amar Rabba. Listen to this. Who would do such a thing? Who would do such a thing? All right. He's sitting there looking so innocent. Baruch. V'amar Rabba's Baruch in the 85-degree weather. V'amar Rabba. Zora Keli Mireish Agag. What happens is Baruch takes Mel's $500 Mikasa crystal and throws it off the roof. Uba Achar, and then Nachman comes, V'shibrai b'makel, and breaks it with a stick. Potter. So Nachman is potter. Why? Because my time I'm on a tvira tover. He broke a broken keli. Listen, it's going to go to the ground and smash into smithereens. So Nachman is potter. Now what Mel wants to know is Baruch Chayiv. Baruch threw it off the roof. Right? So is Baruch Chayiv. See, there's a very interesting Rashi over here. Rashi learns the case. Mamish, Rashi wants to take Mel off the hook. Rashi learns the case is where Mel throws the vase off the roof. Mel has been telling Phyllis he doesn't like this crystal. He's been telling Phyllis, I don't like this crystal. Finally, he took matters into his own hands and threw it off the roof. And then Nachman came and broke it, so Nachman is potter. There's no shaila over here whether Mel is potter or not, because it's Mel's crystals. That's the way, there's a whole discussion why Rashi learns that way. But if you look at Rashi over here, that's how Rashi learns. Zorak bala keli Mireish Agag. He throws it off the roof. Now, let's go further. The plot thickens. V'amar Rabba, Zora Keli Mireish Agag. Here it's Baruch. Baruch throws Mel's vase off the roof. But there's at the bottom very fluffy pillows. Very fluffy pillows. So the vase would not break. What does Nachman do? He's in a good mood tonight, Nachman. Nachman pulls away the pillows. Let's see it inside. You know, he looks so innocent, Nachman, but watch out. Amar Rabba, Zora Keli Mireish Agag, V'ayu tachtav karim uksas, and underneath on the ground are pillows or cushions. Ba'achar v'silkin, and then Nachman comes and removes it. O kidain v'silkan or Baruch runs down and removes the cushions. Potter. Why? My timer. Be'idna deshadye, when he threw it off the roof, which was his action, his force, it wasn't going to break. So be'idna deshadye psuke mifsake gire. His arrow was not going to break it. Now when he goes down and pulls out the cushion, or Nachman pulls out the cushion, that's only a grumma. Grumma ben Izakan is potter. So I know there was a very expensive Makasa crystal. It's good that Mel didn't like it anyway, because he's not going to be able to claim money from Baruch nor from Nachman. Can't claim from Baruch because when he threw it, the cushion was there. He can't claim it from Nachman because pulling out the cushion is only considered a grumma ben Izaken and not an act of actually breaking it. Now I have interesting news. I don't know if it's good news, but the Mishnayos I already did earlier because it's two very long Mishnayos, and instead of saying it twice, I recorded it between Mincha and Ma'ariv, so it's already on TorahAnytime.com and on YouTube and on Kol Lashon. Don't forget, Rabbi say tomorrow night we have a Chumash shir. We do have a sponsor. Avi Ament is sponsoring the Chumash shir. And we thank you for joining us and wish you a lovely evening. Chanani menakash amaratza kadosh baruch hu l'zakei es Yisrael lefika chibelem Torah mitzvahs shenemar inoi chafetz man tzidkei yadol Torah v'yadir.